What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. In today's video, we are going over just more of a broad perspective of the market. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin, what it's doing, especially as people are starting to get extremely fearful with an extreme fear rating on the Fear and Greed Index at 16. So, of course, with that being said, I'm going to take a little bit of a look at what I'm expecting from the market. Is it going to see a falling off of a cliff, as some analysts are saying, or what can we truly just be looking for from Bitcoin? So, of course, with that being said, let's go ahead and let's get into it. So, of course, what I have personally been tracking over the last about 6 or 7 months has been this key level of support. So, of course, we put in some lows in March of 2020, put in some similar lows in July, similar lows in September and October, and we did create, of course, this ascending level of support. One thing that we can notice is that we have now lost that key level of support. Now, of course, that is inherently bearish. What that tells me is that the correction in which we're seeing at the moment may be a little bit more serious than the ones that we've seen in the past, something similar to this one. That also tells me that it may be a little bit more extensive. So although I don't believe this to be the end of the bull market, and I don't genuinely believe we're going to see Bitcoin head towards $10,000, I do believe that this one could be a little bit more extensive than what we saw, for example, from something like this one. So what we need to be paying attention to are 2/3 incredibly key points that are gonna tell us, okay, are we going into some type of bull market? Are we going into some type of bear market? And how can we be playing this to maximize gains overall? So we're gonna go from short term to mid term to long term. So of course, let's go ahead and let's start with short term. So short term, of course, what we really need to be paying the closest amount of attention to is going to be between about $50,000 to $45,000. Now, of course, the way in which we found that is we drew a Fibonacci from the swing low to the swing high that we put in on November 10th. Now, when we go ahead and do that, what you can see is that this range is between our 0.618 and our 0.786 Fibonacci retracement zones. Now, what usually happens with this zone is that as we set a high, we will retrace back to that key level. And if we are going to, in the short term, continue to the top side, this is the minimum level of support. We will not start getting closes below this level if we're going to start to work our way back up past the all-time high without any type of crazy news. That is how the fundamentals of this Fibonacci retracement usually work. So what we can go ahead and say is that if we take a price label, we're going to go ahead and say that our minimum level of support is $45,909. And as long as we are not getting daily closes below this level, we are still looking okay to be able to work our way back to the upside. Now, personally speaking, considering the fact that we did see a rather big loss of that key support level, as we talked about right here, I do believe this one to be a little bit more difficult. I think since we have such a strong level of, pressure above us now, that there is a chance that we may not be able to work our way back up to these highs for a little bit more of an extended amount of time. It could be a few weeks, could be a few months. So overall, this is a very important level to watch in the short term, but I wouldn't be banking on it just yet for it to be the low, the bottom. I wouldn't be banking for us to be at a bottom just yet. Okay. Now, optimally speaking, of course, that would be fantastic if it was the case. The reason that I say that was because if we are to lose $45,000, that enhances the chances of us coming back down to this previous low in which we set back in September around this $40,000 area. Now, realistically, we don't want to lose this $40,000 area. If we lose $40,000, there is a pretty substantial chance that we may be looking at a few months of red or consolidation. Okay. If we start getting a bunch of closes down in this level, there's really not much left holding us up to stop us from seeing some type of possible correction or the end, quote unquote, end of the bull cycle. Okay. Now, the reason that I say that is because realistically, looking at this thing, it's very clear that we are still within our waves. So, of course, coming off of this massive ABC correction back here, let's go ahead and get this pulled up. So, of course, we had this A, B, C correction to the downside. We then went in to start putting in these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s, of course. 1, 2, 3. And now we're looking to put in wave 4 before seeing the continuation to the upside. So realistically, as long as we are able to put in wave 4 at least a little bit above $40,000, there is a strong likelihood that we can continue upwards, possibly even, recapturing this previous level of support or just going under it up until the point that we can go put in this wave 5 above wave 3. This is still within the realm of possibilities as long as we are above wave 2. And so what we need to pay attention to is that if we lose 45,000, it gets extremely extremely crucial that we put in a wave for and start to continue to the top side above this $40,000 level. So right now, the two key areas in the short term and the midterm that I'm paying the most amount of attention to is 45,000 and 40,000. It's as simple as that. I think that if we're at least able to hold this, maybe see some type of RS flip in which we had this previous level of resistance on top of our B wave. We use this 2 wave as our support establishment. We double check this support, boom, here, and then we continue upwards. That's fine. But if we start putting in these lows below this $40,000 region, I think it could almost be safe to say that we are on the final stand, that we are at our last chance for our last level of support to hold before we do see some type of possible, breaking off to the downside. And what that long-term final level of support is going to be sitting right here around $31,000. As you can see, the moment that we are, to start to lose that $40,000 area, we have an extreme area of VPVR average volume, meaning there will be extreme amounts of buys, extreme amounts of sells. We will see some extreme volume here. And if we are to lose this final hill and start to work our way and roll back down to the downside of this area right here, there's not much holding us up from possibly going down to put in a lower low around 29, but even as low as $20,000 to $25,000. So as you can see, we have 3 extremely important short, mid, and long-term levels that we need to be watching out for. But I do offer this video as more of kind of like a saving grace for some of you who are extremely fearful right now. And that is to go to say that we have not lost yet any important areas. We have not realistically, other than the support level, lost any key support levels in terms of Fibonacci's or in terms of previous support that says that we are going to see this thing absolutely fall off a cliff. There's nothing that tells me just yet that we aren't going to be able to see this thing recover and continue to the top side. And so I hope this does, provide you with a little bit of support, not hopium, but support to say that we are still, looking relatively decent to be able to continue into the, maybe the end of this year or beginning of next year with some new highs, okay? And so with that being said, that's going to be about it for today's video. I kind of just wanted to take a look at realistically, does this thing look like it's about to fall off a cliff just yet? Or are we still holding up strong? And I would go ahead and say that although I am under the belief that we are going to trickle down a little bit more, okay? I do believe that there's a strong chance that we do see some type of either trickling down effect in which the price does this, right? Or some consolidation more like this. Although I do believe this is going to happen, that we still are looking decent to continue our move to the upside. And so there's really no need just yet to be panicking. So with that being said, of course, if you guys want more updates like this one, where I go a little bit more in depth for the short term and midterm on Bitcoin, please do let me know. I'm not really sure how my channel is going to receive Bitcoin videos, so I'm kind of doing this as a test as well. So definitely do let me know your thoughts on it, and if you want to see it covered more on my channel into the future here. If you do, of course, all you got to do is let me know in the comment section and smash that like button so more people see this video, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.